to Caribbean Connections. I am Dion Lego.
In this episode of our Thought Leadership series, we share part 2 of our insightful discussion with visionary developer and owner of Jungle Bay, Sam Raphael. Jungle Bay is one of Dominica's leading adventure and wellness resorts.
We are delighted to have him join us on set for this episode of Caribbean Connections.
Sam, we've spoken a lot about your journey to date, and in so doing, you mentioned speaking at a few sustainability conferences. Let's take a look forward. Have you found the region to be open to the blueprint that is Jungle Bay? And do you have any plans for projects going forward? Or I should ask that differently. What are your plans? Because based on that smirk, you always have plans.
Well, the wheels are always turning, and that's the beauty of entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurs, we always have these wheels turning. My plan was to retire, but that was a laugh. Yes,
that's laughable.
Because I'm, when you're having fun doing what you do, you don't retire from that. You enjoy it more and more. But I'll go back to the sustainability part of the question that you asked, because this is very serious, and especially for us in the Caribbean. We actually, are all islands, and we're extremely vulnerable. The entire world is dealing with this heating crisis that's going on. Whereas it may be abstract to some regions, to us it's a reality.
It's very real.
We have the rising tide, you have seawalls being built here in Dominica, and now the seawalls need additional seawalls, and they just keep going down. We have flat islands that are basically going to get run over not too long from now. We've got threats like the lionfish pandemic, that's been wiping out our coral fish stock. We have the sargassum weed.
Yes.
We have a chloral bleaching disease problem, and on and on and on. And it is important for us as a region. Certainly there are things that are happening on the planet that are affecting us that we're not in control of. But as a region, we need to do what we can, at least to save ourselves. In terms of how we build, how we do things, how we operate, we need to reflect. And I find a lot of jurisdictions are looking at this seriously. As I said, they're now looking at sustainable, environmentally sustainable tourism as a way out. Part of that is the economic, reality that more and more travelers are sensitive to the environment, and that's a good market. Well, that's good on the one hand. But on the other hand, it's a matter of the imperative for our survival. That's also important, because really we won't have much to sell. You have less and less people wanting to come and sunburn all day on a beach somewhere. So we've got to move in the right direction of more sustainability. So I think this is being embraced. Is it being embraced enough? As far as I'm concerned, I think there's always room for improvement in that, and policies that, in the Caribbean are often not consistent as in most places. So you have some policies promoting environmental conservation and so on, and then some practices, single-use plastic, so many things that we have that we're really backwards on. The education of environmental sustainability in our school system.
It needs, and if it isn't, it needs to be.
It needs to be. I mean, I walk every morning. I do a 6-mile hike, crack of dawn, just to get the head going, and do a power walk and get, in a good place. I start my day with a 6-hour hike, and I end the day at 6 with a yin yoga class, and that's my day. Well, on the hike, you walk along the roads and so on. And the roadside trash in the region, is an issue. And
it is regional. It
is a regional problem.
It's a
and the thing that
problem.
I find disturbing is, sure, we get the beer bottles and the styrofoam things that the adults leave. But often I see kids with the Cheetos bags, out there and things. So we have another generation that now are mimicking the adults.
The children will live what they learn.
And they're throwing things, and it's damaging the coastlines and so on. So there's a lot of work to be done, not just as an industry, but every single resident in the Caribbean need to become more aware. We need to tell the kids, so kids can embarrass adults into proper behavior. Because when a kid tells you you're driving on a bus and you throw this, they say, no, don't throw. You remember that. You think maybe that kid is rude. How can they tell you? But the embarrassment isn't going to go away. And our young kids need to be taught and trained so that they can even now be the pioneers going forward in terms of the preservation of the environment, because the future belongs to the young people.
And we must leave something viable for them.
We must leave. We cannot just destroy this thing and leave it for them as we've been doing in the past.
And leave it for them to repair.
So on a number of levels, politicians on the public policy level, we need to encourage more electric vehicles. We need to reduce, the biggest challenge is the combustion engine. But we have, islands that are importing vehicles. Owning a car is now a sign of affluence. But it shouldn't be a sign of affluence, Less should be more in terms of things that emit destructive gases and so on. And so all of these things we are embracing, and we need to continue to embrace. And things like Caribbean Airlines, you must use fuel to fly people in. But I think where you help out is you create an opportunity for things like multi-destination tourism.
Yes.
So in some areas, some people come in and they do long haul flights and they do very short stay. They go to one island and they pop back. But what you offer visitors is the opportunity to have an extended stay. So if you come to the Caribbean region this year, you can stay 14 or 21 days. And the way a lot of people working remotely, and especially in the European market, people now know that they can't work. They need to have more extended vacation time. So they come to the region and you have multi-destination vacationing, which is something that I think that it's good that you offer the service that you offer to allow people to enjoy maybe Trinidad and Dominica and another island before they go back, enjoying the uniqueness. So this is a part of ecotourism. So it's not just one single template. We must do a lot of little things to reduce the use of and the destruction of the natural environment. So this is important.
It all adds up in the end. I recall growing up in Trinidad, there was a campaign by one of the state agencies, and there was a character known as Charlie. And the line was, "Make Charlie mad," because Charlie was a litter bug. And so we all, as the message really is that as individuals, we each have a role to play. It's not just the government. Yes, governments have a role to play by way of policy, but as individuals, we need to own our roles with respect to environmental preservation, being more mindful. A simple thing like taking the lights off so that we utilize less energy.
Right.
All of these things are important as we move forward for a more sustainable future.
Well, we got to go back to the kids. When I was a kid, and I give you my
your experience.
my campground experience, it was not Charlie, but Ivan. And Ivan was a mongoose.
Okay.
Because that's what we have in the U.S. Virgin Islands,
Yes.
is mongoose. And Ivan taught us to pidgeot in. Ivan taught us to reuse. Ivan taught us. So Ivan was the mascot. So we need to get back to these little stories and things that we teach the kids sometimes, a lot of things. But certainly I don't think you go wrong in teaching the kids about the environment, to use the environment wisely, to reuse and to preserve the environment. We can't do enough of that.
Yes, we certainly need to ramp up our education in that regard.
And you asked me the second part of the question is, I'm not filibustering your question in terms of future plans.
Yes.
Well, the future is now, so there's a lot that we're doing at Jungle Bay. The biggest, this property, as I mentioned earlier, have 89 rooms, and we've got all these things, and more is not always better. So we don't want to make Jungle Bay any bigger. When you come, we need you to have that individual attention, and we think we've reached quality. We even within that group, the property is clustered into these small villas. So for that matter, right now we have a group that's dancing soca. We have a soca dance retreat. So if you want to learn how to dance soca, they came from California, and they've got people from all over. We have a student group from one American U.S. college that came to study ecotourism with us. We have another group that's a pharmacy group from University of Iowa working in the community, along with other, yoga groups that we normally have and so on. So we host a number of these of these groups that come in.
A real melting pot.
A real melting pot and having fun. So what I want to keep doing is working on improving the quality of the product. This is important. Improving the capacity and the training of our staff. You never do too much. So this is the next few years is just getting it better. Yes. That's the goal for Jungle Bay. For me personally, I'm dabbling in a number of things in the region.
I'm sure we'll
tangentially, hear. I'm involved in a housing development in Trinidad. I won't get into details of that as an outside partner, but doing stuff in Barbados. I'm certainly in the Virgin Islands. I'm as far north as Bermuda, which is my latest island. So I'm doing a lot of different things, all in the realm of sustainability. But every island offers a different opportunity. So looking at it, on what is the appropriate approach for the situation and going from there. And that's the fun part.
What you have is passion and fire in your belly, as they say. So retirement, I think that was a fleeting a fleeting fantasy.
Yes, actually my wife laughed when I told her that in my face.
I understand that.
I told that maybe to two other people and they laughed, and I know I should drop that idea.
Yeah, that is
I'm not getting any sympathy when I suggest that.
It's not even sympathy, because it's like, okay, yeah, sure, no problem. Yeah, you're retiring.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, but what are you gonna do? Balance your life in a way to enjoy. Try not to take on too much stress, and we're here to make a difference. And if we think of those persons on a number as a Caribbean people, we know the sacrifices they made when they came before us to build a foundation. So we're on a mission. We're on a mission, to create and enhance that foundation for the next generation. And whereas we still have health and strength and we're enjoying life, and I travel the world and I'm having a blast, why give that up? Continue to help build that foundation and put things in place for the legacy of our people.
Sam, speaking of legacy, what do you envision or hope for your legacy in the Caribbean to be?
I don't know that I've thought about it, specifically per se. Right now I'm focused on doing the things that make a difference. And I think the legacy will be determined by whoever that comes after. It may be a small piece, and that would be fine. That would be great. But in some way to help maybe make a positive difference in the Caribbean and for Caribbean people. And that's that is the honest legacy that I have. I don't know that I have any big, I haven't written any books, or I have no such plans. I may end up doing some writing at some point, but hopefully I have enough time. But right now, it's in focusing on some of these things, and again going through the Caribbean, and hopefully encouraging others. If the legacy could be that he came and he encouraged others to achieve, then I would feel that that's a fantastic legacy. If they say, some little thing that you did really touched me in a positive way, and you encouraged me to do whatever, that would be fantastic.
Sam, I admire your spirit, your tenacity, your resolute approach, and your will. And as a region, we have much to learn from what you've done, and I dare say, what you will do in this space. I thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. I know we can sit and chat for hours, as I'm sure we'll continue to do off camera. But thank you sincerely for guesting with us on Caribbean Connections.
Yeah, and thank you so much for this opportunity to have this beautiful conversation with you and your wide audience. I think this is fantastic. We look forward to hosting your listeners, your viewers, in Dominica. Jungle Bay and the other places in Dominica to enjoy this beautiful island. And hopefully we continue to share and exchange. And we look forward to the synergy that Caribbean Airlines provides to operations like us. That's where the thank you comes. We can't thank you enough for the work that you're doing to connect the Caribbean and to provide the most important tool, which is the connectivity to these islands so that we can have economic growth and people can earn a livelihood and we can move around and do things. So Jungle Bay and Dominica, we'd like to thank Caribbean Airlines for your support for the development of this island.
It's our pleasure and our vision.